If you're striving towards one goal, anytime you're striving towards a goal, it is your job to protect yourself against anything that's going to cause a hindrance to you accomplishing your goal. Hey, welcome to another video. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so elated to have you. As we continue to go into like different topics of self-care, some of them may seem to be a little bit trivial, but others, they cross the line of like this depth that sometimes you won't even think about it until it's being discussed. And just over the course of the last few months, some of the things that we have shared has impacted me so much so that I had to go and kind of revamp some of the things in my own life that I was doing. And that's the whole point of this channel. Like, it's about, we are teaching each other. We're helping each other to identify different things in our self-care journey that will make our results the most optimal. You know what I mean? Like, because this is a journey, it's the long stretch of what we're doing, not like a fad. Like we're working out today, or we're doing certain positive things today and then it fizzles out. When you're on a journey, you have to be calculated, determined, and you gotta go and ride the wave. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but you still stay on the journey. And I just want to welcome you to this channel today. We are going to be talking about something a little deeper in terms of self-care today, but it happens every day. It's crazy that I'm saying deeper. And I'm saying deeper because it's not necessarily a surface topic, but it has so much, and it is directly connected to our self-care. I'm going to name this series Positioning Yourself. And I'll preface this conversation with that, to position yourself. When you reflect on your life, right, and some of the things that we have suffered, some of the injustices that we have suffered, some of the things that we have gone through, right, at the hands of others. A lot of times, not all the time, but many times, you can locate that moment when you positioned yourself in such a way that caused you to be exposed to such injustice or hurt or pain. Many times in my life, I have looked back and I've seen different things that was going on within me that I now allowed myself to become open or exposed to in the hands of someone who could probably hurt me, or someone who just didn't care about me. But it all came back to me. And that is why this self-care journey is so important, because you have to start with you. You, instead of, all right, so what I am saying, let me put it this way. Identify those things within you that you have to work on, whether it's your self-esteem, whether it is your negative self-doubt, your thoughts that you have about yourself. You have to work on those things, because it is the foundation to how everything else is going to domino in your life, especially in relationships, especially in any kind of encounter with other people. It's going to start from that place that you have or have not dealt with. There's this thing called psychological warfare. I am a psychology major, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Quite a bit, rather. But in our self-care journey, one of the main things that we have to do is protect ourselves, right? If you're striving towards one goal. Anytime you're striving towards a goal, it is your job to protect yourself against anything that's going to cause a hindrance to you accomplishing your goal. It is your job to protect yourself against any type of hindrance or obstacle that will stop you from reaching your goal. And your self-care journey is no different. Psychological warfare, right? It works in the realm of like manipulation. Like when people leverage tactics to influence or control how you think about yourself. That is deep. That's why I said it's kind of deep, right? Because this is how it connects directly with self-care. If someone is able to manipulate how you feel about yourself, whether you admit it or not, it is going to directly affect the effort and the level of care you give to yourself. Let me say that again. If someone is able to manipulate and influence the way you feel and think about yourself, it is going to directly affect how you approach your self-care and how you able to reach your goal in the best and most efficient way for yourself, right? Your self-care, listen, with self-care starts with self. Yeah? Okay. When you think about the care that you give to yourself, that has to be one of your priorities. At Abraham Maslow, second on his hierarchy of need pyramid is protection. Protection. You have to learn how to protect yourself from people who are trying to manipulate you, or protect yourself from people who are not necessarily trying to manipulate you, but be mindful of how you put yourself in certain situations to be manipulated. You know what I mean? Maybe that person is not directly trying to do that to you, but you, because of how you feel about yourself and some of the unresolved issues you're dealing with, you put yourself unknowingly in situations where you become susceptible to people's psychological maneuvers. And the next thing you know, you're having these detrimental effects on your own well-being. One of the primary ways, and I'm going to give you examples. I'm just laying it out there. One of the prime examples of a person using this psychological warfare is when you put yourself in a position and you expose your vulnerabilities to other people who are not caring of you, right? Let's say we know that all of us have some type of insecurity, some doubt, some sensitivities. Because I know certain things you talk about, I get sensitive immediately. But that has nothing to do with the person. That has to do with me. If you say something about a person's weight, if you say something about a person's skin color, if you say something about a person's ability to be thorough about something, if you say something about, everybody have their own insecurities, these little triggers that we have, right? But it's your responsibility to deal with those triggers, because if you do not, you will find yourself in the hands or in the face of certain people or in the company of certain people who will take those insecurities that they now become aware of and exploit you with them, right? When people can see your weakness, right? They strategically try to undermine your self-esteem and your confidence and your self-worth. And they can do this in these type of microaggressions. These little jabs here and a jab there. And before you know it, you're questioning everything about yourself, everything about what you believe about yourself, and forget about your self-care journey. That's out the window. But these subliminal attacks on us, it has to still begin with us, because as long as you're here on this earth, you're going to have people shooting little belittling remarks to you, little passive aggressive behavior. You know what I mean? Even other forms like gaslighting. They're coming. That's just the way of the world. It's no way that you can completely avoid these type of situations or these type of things happening. But what you can do, and that's the purpose of our conversation, what you can do is gird yourself, first of all, being aware of what is going on within you that is vulnerable. You know what I mean? You have to be aware of those things that will make you vulnerable and that trigger you. And I'm not saying that it's another person's responsibility to assuage those things that's going on in you. But what I am saying is, before you get out in this world, even on your job, relationships, friendships, family, all of these things are directly connected to your self-care journey. And when you begin to identify those things, those insecurities within you, those things that will allow a person to wreak havoc on your mental care and your mental wellness, they will wreak havoc on you. I remember being a young woman, and my mother used to always tell me, she said, you got to be ready for relationships. We were talking about boys at the time, but this conversation, it extends to any relationship. She said, you got to be ready for a relationship because it touches a part of you that you don't even know exists yet. And before you go jumping into different relationships with boys, she was telling me, she was like, know who you are. Know what it is that you want. Know yourself. And in understanding that, I had to be about 10 years old when she said it. And I can remember the conversation like yesterday. I didn't understand what she was saying then. But you have to know who you are. What is it in me that makes me respond to this that way or respond to those things this way? Because until you identify that, you're going to go through this world and people are going to be detonating that time bomb within you all the time. And it's not necessarily their fault. This is your self-care journey. Don't avoid it. A lot of times we think that if we get into certain types of relationships, right, that it's going to be better. And what we're doing, though, I'm going to tell you what we really do. We try to get in relationships and we hide those vulnerabilities and those triggers. But let me tell you something. A relationship does nothing but exposes you completely. When you get in a relationship and you have not dealt with those type of issues, those vulnerabilities that we all have, those insecurities, it's like pouring alcohol in an open wound. You will be so exposed. Because in relationship, in order for anything to even possibly work and be even seemingly balanced out, you have to have a certain level of vulnerability to be able to trust that person with or these people with. And sometimes the real answer is that you cannot do that. But you still have to deal with your own insecurities. A lot of days I have certain affirmations that I say to myself. And certain affirmations that I use are helping me deal with certain insecurities within me before I even get out in the world. I read a lot of positive, inspiring books that will help me to reframe some of the things that's going on in my mind that I have adopted since I was a child that may not serve me now and may not even be true, that really are not true, not even may not, but are not true. And I'm sure you have the similar things going on within you. You have to identify those things that are literally hindering you. And see, I'm saying to identify it because these are the things that everybody else do not see. They're only going to see it when your behavior displays that there's something going on within you. But before they can even reach that point, it is your responsibility to deal with those vulnerabilities. Oh, those vulnerabilities. I remember, I'll be transparent. I'll give you something that happened to me. I remember when I was younger, right? And I have an older sister. And our skin complexions are different. I am darker than she is. She's a lighter tan color. And I'm more like a caramelly color. You know what I mean? Got more color to me. Anyway, I know I had to be about 7, maybe 8. Maybe I was young. I was very young. But I remember my sister saying to me that she was introducing me to one of her friends. And she said, "This is my dark-skinned sister that I was telling you about." And that was the first time I ever heard that, because my mother never said that. My father never said that. I never heard nobody else say anything like that. But she said, "This is the dark-skinned one." And I said, and after that, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was just like, my skin is darker than hers. The first time I ever even realized it. Seriously, I'd never even looked at my skin like that or anything. And so from there on out, I started to say, is something wrong with my skin? And so if I was in a conversation, this is years later now, if someone said anything about my skin complexion or even made reference to it, they probably wasn't even paying me no attention. But it was something in me that made me check myself or feel some way because of that situation. But I was like 7 or 8 years old. That has nothing to do with them. But what I had to do is I had to reframe that conversation and what I gathered from my sister. I don't think she was trying to hurt me or anything like that, but it was just her frame of reference and introducing me to somebody. And I'm sure things can happen. Things has happened like that to you. It could be someone who is always like slim. You know what I mean? Like just have my niece, she's a slim girl. She always been very, very, very slim. I always admired it, right? But when people always refer to her as skinny and little and she's so this, now that I'm older and I understand how things work, I wonder if, at a certain point, she had a little self-esteem issue about her weight. You know what I mean? Like she's always small, no matter how much she eats. She's small. That's it. That she's small. And it could be the vice versa. Somebody could be a little heavier. And no matter how much they don't eat, they have a certain heaviness or weight to them, which is their comfort weight, is how they're supposed to be. But because of these onslaughts and these little, comments that we hear over the course of our lives, those things wreak havoc on us. And next thing you know, you're in a relationship and someone say one thing about that thing that you are dealing with and you go bananas. And they're looking at you like, what just happened? What happened? So in your self-care journey, I am saying this to say, it is your responsibility to deal with those things. And because here's the thing, people are not going to stop. They're not going to stop because you have an issue or you have a trigger. Now they going to stop. No, it don't work like that. Your trigger, they're going to continue to pull that trigger and detonate those things. Those are time bombs that's within you. They're going to detonate those things repeatedly, rapidly. You're going to be a mess. Self-care now is about you building up this defense around yourself to understand who you are, and allowing those comments to bounce on you and bounce right off like water on a duck's back. They roll, it don't even penetrate the back. It rolls right on off because they're coming. And so in your self-care journey, when you make up your mind that I am going to be well, I am going to be healthy, I am going to move forward and be the best version of myself that I can be, it has to be irrespective of obstacles. As long as you're in this world, the world is full of obstacles. That's what it's going to be. That's the nature of life. But you know what I've learned? I've learned to be grateful for obstacles. You know why? Because it brings out the best in me. When you're able to position yourself, right? Back to the topic of this video. You position yourself in such a way that it doesn't even matter what someone is saying, or it doesn't even matter, because those triggers in you, you've already like caused them to not be sensitive at all. They're there, but now you have reframed your feelings and your thoughts around them. And that's what real power is. That's powerful. You got to position yourself, baby. Position yourself in such a way that it doesn't even matter the obstacles that come your way. Your self-care journey is your self-care journey. And when you see these type of psychological manipulations coming your way, you realize, hold up, let me check me, because I can't stop the person. Let me check me and see what's going on within me. And now I can reframe how I'm feeling about me. Y'all, this self-care journey is serious. It's so serious and it's powerful. Sometimes I think about certain things and I'm just thinking about my life and sharing this information, and I am brought to tears, seriously. Because certain things we deal with for our lives and don't even realize that it's triggering us like that. But you are in control of that aspect of your life. I thank you for joining us today. This is Self-Care. This is the Bojoul channel, the home of self-care and wellness and any and everything that'll help you to become the greatest version of you. You are in competition with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. This is the Bojoul channel. And remember, self-care is the best care. Later.